You're not scattered because you can't focus. You're scattered because you're carrying 17 people's mental loads on top of your own. You're not foggy because you're weak. You're foggy because you've been running on empty for so long that your nervous system has basically shut down to the non-essential functions, like desire and clarity and joy. You're frustrated because every solution that you've tried has treated the symptom instead of actually diagnosed the problem, the root, and gone after that. Patterns don't break on their own. They break when you finally slow down long enough to see what's actually happening. Well, hey there. So last week we talked about something I needed you to hear. You're not failing, you're overloaded. And if that landed for you, if that kind of felt like an exhale of, oh my gosh, someone finally said it out loud, then today's episode is going to give you what comes next. Because naming the problem is only step one. And it's an important one, but you didn't come here just to feel seen. You came here because you were also interested in moving forward. You came here because you're done spinning. You're done starting and stopping. You're done beating yourself up for being human. And I get it. I've been there. I've been the woman who had all the knowledge and all the tools and all the training, and I still found myself burned out and resentful and wondering why nothing was sticking. And so today we're going to be talking about what actually works, what real women like you, women who are totally capable, yet stuck in survival mode, done with surface fixes kind of women, what you all are actually craving when it comes to support. Not what anyone else tells you need, not what some influencer swears changed her life, not what worked for someone else who has a completely different life, a different brain, and a different season than you. We're going to talk about what you need based on real data, real struggles, real life. I sent out a survey to thousands of women a few weeks ago, and in that survey, women like you, maybe even you, maybe you're even someone who took the survey, they told me where they're stuck. They told me what they've tried, what didn't work, what did work, and most importantly, what kind of support the women of today are actually craving right now. And let me tell you, the patterns were crystal clear. And so by the end of our time here today, you'll know the exact kinds of support that fit how you operate, not how you wish you operated, how you actually function right now in this season with the bandwidth that you actually have. And I'm going to show you which new tools that I've created actually solve these struggles at the root. And it's not another checklist, but with real structure and real strategy and honest support that respects where you are. There's no hype, there's no pressure, just honest guidance so that you can choose your next right step. And with that, let's get started. So first, let's ground ourselves in where you actually are, because if we're going to talk about what you need, we have to start with what's true first. Not what sounds nice and not what you think you should say, but what's actually happening inside your head and your heart right now. When I asked women to describe how they're feeling right now, 4 patterns showed up over and over and over. And I want you to listen to these, and I want you to try to figure out which one resonates most with you, because chances are you're going to hear yourself in at least one of these. So pattern number 1 is for women, is about women who are stuck. Like you're spinning your wheels, but not moving forward. You know what to do, and you've read the books, you've listened to the podcast, you've maybe even taken classes or courses or hired coaches before, but you just can't seem to do it. It's like your brain and your body aren't communicating with one another. You have the plan, you just can't execute. And the worst part is that you're watching everyone else seem to figure it out. They're posting their morning routines, their meal prep, their organized pantries, and you're sitting there thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just do the thing? So that's what it looks like for women who are stuck. The second pattern that I saw are women who are scattered. This is when your brain is cluttered. Your to-do list is a mile long and growing. You can't focus long enough to make real progress on anything because there's 17 other things that are all screaming for your attention at the same time. You start one thing, you get interrupted, you start another thing, and by the end of the day, you've touched everything and finished nothing. And so you go to bed exhausted, but you can't even point to anything you actually accomplished that day. And The mental load for women who are scattered, it is essentially crushing. You're the one who is remembering the dentist appointments, the permission slips, the grocery list, what needs to go in the Instant Pot at 3 so that dinner's ready by 5:30. You're managing everyone else's lives while your own priorities essentially sit unlocked. So, women who are scattered, that was the second pattern that I saw. The third pattern that I saw was foggy. Women who just feel foggy in their heads. You're exhausted, not just tired, but the depleted sort of tired. Decision fatigue, it has you second guessing everything. You stand in the pantry staring at the shelves, unable to decide what to make for dinner. You open your planner and your mind goes blank. You don't even know what you want anymore. Someone asks you, what would make this easier? What can I do to help? And you have no idea how to answer because you've spent so long managing everyone else's needs that you've lost touch with your own. And essentially, you're numb. You're going through the motions, and deep down, you're terrified that this is just how life is going to be now. So that's what it looks like for women who are feeling foggy. And then the last pattern that I saw is women who feel frustrated with themselves because you've tried before. You've started and stopped a dozen times. You bought the planner, you joined the challenge, you committed to the morning routine, and it lasted maybe 2 weeks before life got loud and everything fell apart. And now you're tired of failing yourself. You're skeptical of anything new because you've been disappointed too many times. Part of you wants to believe that it could be different, but another part of you is bracing for that letdown. And really, you're stuck in this place between hope and resignation. And honestly, most times the resignation is winning. And so here's what I need you to hear about all of these things. They aren't character flaws. These are symptoms of a system that is overloaded, a system that is no longer working for you and probably hasn't been working for you for quite a long time. The way that you're managing your daily life hasn't been working for a long time. And you're not frustrated or stuck then because you're lazy. You're stuck because you're mentally maxed out. You're not scattered because you can't focus. You're scattered because you're carrying 17 people's mental loads on top of your own. You're not foggy because you're weak. You're foggy because you've been running on empty for so long that your nervous system has basically shut down to the non-essential functions like desire and clarity and joy. None of those are even happening anymore. You're just keeping the bare minimums running every day. It's why you can't find your joy. It's why nothing feels clear. Those are just non-essentials that your brain can't focus on, doesn't have the bandwidth. And you're not frustrated because you're a failure. You're frustrated because every solution that you've tried has treated the symptom instead of actually diagnosed the problem, the root, and gone after that. And so in reality, you don't need more motivation. You don't need to try harder. You don't need another productivity hack or a color-coded planner. You need support, a different kind of support, a support that starts with where you actually are, not where you think you should be. And that's exactly why I have built what I have built. And it's why I'm talking about what I'm talking with you about today. It's because I'm done watching women beat themselves up for being human. I'm done with programs that hand you this rigid routine and expect that you're going to force it into your life, fitting a square peg into a round hole. And I'm done with this sort of surface level fixes that are all out there, and they ignore what's really happening underneath. And so what you need is a system that actually fits your brain, a system that fits your bandwidth, your season, your real life, not some ideal world fantasy that only works if everything is calm and everyone cooperates. So let's talk about what that actually looks like. So when I surveyed these women, I had a survey called The Heart of the Matter, and it was all about women and what they're struggling with as they step into 2026. And so I asked them, what kind of support do you actually need? What kind of support do you feel like you want? And 3 different types of themes rose to the top. And so these were really very clear patterns about what women are craving and what they're absolutely done tolerating. And so let me walk you through them. And as I do, I want you to notice which one kind of piques your interest a little bit, which one kind of perks you up, which one makes you lean in, Which one makes you think, yes, that is what I need? So the first need that rose was connection, real, honest, a real, honest, safe space. So many of you said that you wanted a place where you could be messy and honest, where you didn't have to pretend that you have it all together, where someone would listen without judgment and help you process what's actually going on underneath all of the chaos and all of the noise. You've tried surface level conversations. You're tired of the, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. How are you? Kind of conversations. You're tired of performing competence and pretending that you're competent when you're actually falling apart inside. When it came to the survey responses, one woman wrote, I need someone who gets it, who won't make me feel guilty for struggling. And another one said, I want to be able to say the hard stuff out loud without someone trying to fix me or tell me that I'm overreacting. And another said, I just need to stop feeling so alone. And friend, let me tell you, when I read these responses, I felt every single one of them in my bones, because here's the truth. You can't think your way out of overwhelm alone. You can't continue to pretend like everything is fine and expect that that's just a long-term solution. It's not. You need someone, you need a tribe outside of your own head who can help you see what you can't see, to ask the questions that you're not asking, that maybe you're afraid to ask or don't know to ask, to challenge the stories in the narrative that you have going on repeat that are telling you things that aren't even true. And as a result of what I learned there, I created something for women called the Connection Circle. It's going to be kicking off in January of 2026. It's this small connecting space where we're going to show up live as often as we want or as we can. We're going to work through what's actually keeping you stuck. We're going to be having real conversations there about what's working, what's not, about what's happening in real time in the real lives of the women who are there. The real patterns, the thoughts, the beliefs, the stories you're telling yourself that are keeping you in this endless loop of going nowhere. There's no schedule of live calls to miss. It's you guys showing up. It's me showing up throughout the week, asking you questions, giving you honest help, and maybe just a safe space to be you, to be real, to be honest about the things that are maybe hard to say out loud anywhere else. We're basically creating this container where honesty is not just allowed, it's expected. And we hold each other up. We encourage each other. We support each other. And maybe sometimes we hold each other accountable too, not with shame, but with compassion and truth. Because you don't need more people to tell you what a great job you're doing and to tell you what a great job you're not doing. You need someone who will say, I see you, I hear you, and here's what I'm noticing. Let's talk about it. So that was the first theme that I saw, is women craving connection. The second theme that I saw was basically women looking for self-paced tools that, again, actually fit their real life. You don't want another 12-week program that you'll never finish. You're done with courses that sit in your inbox making you feel guilty because they're just collecting dust. You're done with these rigid timelines that don't actually account for sick kids and work deadlines, or the fact that some weeks you just barely have the bandwidth to take a shower. You want something that you can use when you have 20 minutes or maybe 2 minutes, something that meets you where you are and doesn't shame you for not being further along in the process. One woman said, I don't even start anymore because I know I won't finish. And that was something else that I just felt in the core of my being. Another one said, I need something I can pick up and put down without feeling like I'm failing or I'm taking too long. And another one said, I just want tools that work with my life, not against it. And so more than 65% of the women that I survey, straight across the board, any season, any year, more than 65% of them say that they have a struggle with clutter. They need help with clutter. And so combining women who want self-paced tools with the idea that so many are trying to get on top of their clutter, I created the Inside Out Clutter Strategy. It's not a course. It's not a 30-day challenge. It's basically a mindset and method toolkit that help you understand why clutter keeps coming back and how to clear it out from the inside out. Because it's self-paced, you work at your own pace. You focus on what's actually relevant to your life at the time. There's multiple tools in there. And you get to stop shaming yourself for the mess. Because here's what I know, clutter, it's not about the stuff. It's about the stories you're telling yourself about the stuff. It's about the emotions that you're avoiding. It's about the decisions that feel too hard to make. And until you address, when it comes to clutter, until you address what's actually underneath the clutter, the real reason that you're holding on, you're just going to keep essentially moving piles around. And so this toolkit does a lot of different things. It helps you get to the root. It helps you understand your patterns. And it gives you practical tools and steps and strategies to clear the clutter out for good without overwhelm, without shame, without another weekend spent reorganizing the same closet. So the third theme that I saw when it comes to what women need in terms of support is fast, in the moment clarity. Because some women don't need a whole program. Some women don't need weekly calls. Some women don't need a toolkit. Some women just need someone to talk you off the edge, to help you see the next right step when you're spiraling or stuck, to give you a reality check when you can't tell if you're overreacting or if this is actually a problem. Women who took the survey said things like, I just need someone to tell me if I'm crazy or not, to help me think clearly when my brain won't cooperate. Another one said, I need help in the moment, not 3 weeks from now when I finally have time to listen to a class. And another one said, sometimes I just need someone to say, here's what I see, here's what you're missing, now go do the thing. And that is why I created the Clarity Line. It's basically text-based support, coaching, strategizing, all rolled into one. You reach out when you need it, and I respond on your clarity day. And we work through the fog and the overwhelm and the stress together in real time in that way. There's no scheduled calls. There's no formal structure, no waiting until next week's class or coaching call to get unstuck. It's just an honest, safe line of communication to use when you need it so that you're not doing it alone. And you're not having to watch anything or learn anything either. It's really just an opportunity to get the guided do this that is the answer that overloaded brains need. Because clarity, it really doesn't need a 60-minute class or even a one-on-one face-to-face call sometimes. Sometimes it just needs one question to be answered. It needs one reframe. It needs one truth bomb that can shift your entire perspective and send you on your way. And so here's the thread between all three of these offers. They start with what's actually in your head. They start with what's happening in your head because that's where change begins. It's not with another to-do list. It's with clarity. It's with truth. It's with someone who helps you see what you can't see on your own. And the best part is that these are actually all uniquely set up so that you can choose what works best for you based on how you operate, how you think, based on your bandwidth, based on what actually fits your life, not what sounds good on paper. And so now let's talk about the elephant in the room. When I asked women in the survey if they'd be willing to be messy and honest, really honest about what's not working, almost every single one of them said yes. But here's what I also kind of saw between the lines. I saw the shame, the guilt they felt because they needed help, the fear of admitting that they can't do this alone, the belief that if you were just stronger or smarter or more organized or more disciplined, you wouldn't be where you are. That there's this belief that you'd be managing life just fine on your own if you could just work a little harder. So let me be really clear. You are not weak or failing or doing anything wrong because you feel like you need help. You're tired of trying to fix an overwhelming, crushing load with personal willpower. And that's not a character flaw. That's actually reality. You cannot white knuckle your way through an overwhelmed, crushing weight. And that's what the majority of the women That's how they tend to try to carry things. They need something that isn't just more willpower. The things that the women of today are expected to carry in today's world, it's really kind of crazy. And in reality, it's likely that you are carrying more than is humanly possible. But you've been doing it, and you've been doing it while you're also managing everyone else's emotions and schedules and needs, while primarily having to ignore your own. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that, again, if you just tried a little harder, it would all just click into place. But it doesn't work that way. Well, hey, friend, before we dive in, let me say this. If you're tired of holding it all together, if you're wondering why nothing sticks, if you feel like you're failing at something you should be able to manage, you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're just overloaded. I asked thousands of women what's really going on beneath the surface, and I've built 5 new offers based on what you told me you actually need. If you're craving real connection and honest conversation, the kind where you can be messy and still be met with understanding, the Connection Circle, it's going to be perfect for you. If clutter keeps coming back, no matter what you try, the Inside Out Clutter Strategy, it's going to help you clear it from the root. If your brain is too full to think straight and you just need someone to help you get clarity, the Clarity Line, it gives you private, in-the-moment strategizing with me via text. If you've been quietly wondering, is my marriage even fixable? The Midlife Marriage and Reset Maps, it's going to help you name what is actually happening and what is going on and how to fix it. And if you're tired of starting strong in January or never even bothering to start at all, the Connection and Breakthrough Virtual Retreat is where we're going to reset together and move forward together live. It's happening in mid-January over an entire weekend, and I would love to see you there. If you're not sure which offer is right for you, I made a quick offer finder to help you figure it out too. Friend, the support, the help, the clarity you need, it is here for you. Head to Heart of the Matter survey for women to find out more. So let me tell you about a season when I was completely burned out. I teach women all the time about not doing it all, about protecting themselves, about serving their families and their friends and their communities and their mission, but not at the expense of their own well-being. I talk about how burning the candle at both ends eventually is going to lead to burnout. You can do it, but it's eventually going to lead to burnout. I talk about this all the time. And then in the thick of one of the hardest seasons, I did exactly the opposite. I was in total burnout. I was bone deep exhausted, but I kept going because I wasn't protecting myself. I was letting people walk all over me, and I knew it. I just didn't want to keep fighting. I was so sick of the constant pushback from my kids who didn't want to help, who didn't seem to care, and from my husband who a lot of times just felt like another person that I had to carry so much of the time. It felt like everyone in my home was hyper-focused on themselves while they were watching me run myself ragged every single day. And I kept telling myself it was easier to just do it all than to feel the sting of their rejection when they didn't step up to do their part. And so I overfunctioned. I kept going and going and going. And in some twisted way, that constant going and going and going, it gave my nervous system a break from the conflict, from that conflict of rejection that I felt. It, in the moment, felt like the better option, and maybe it actually was for a time. But the fact that it was also happening was wearing me down to nothing at the same time. And the truth is that during that whole season, I knew better. I teach this stuff. I live it, except during this season, I didn't. I chose not to. I refused to apply the very principles that I give other women. And that made it worse because it wasn't just about the burnout then. It was about the shame of knowing that I was actually choosing to betray myself. But when I finally allowed myself to really name what was happening out loud, it gave me the power to change it. I always say I'm my own worst client because I am so resistant to doing the hard stuff sometimes. And so really during that season, it opened up something different in me. And it wasn't a dramatic movie climactic scene sort of way, but it was really just this quiet, this honest rollout of what was actually happening. And it allowed me to shift back, to turn back to the truth that I already knew. That season was the reminder of what I know to be true, which is that boundaries aren't just something that we all need, and they aren't just something that I teach to other women. They're something that I have to live too, especially when it's hard. And like me, you do need to live with boundaries too, unless you want to get to the point of no return, to burnout that's going to eventually affect everything you do and the relationships you have with everyone you care about. And here's what I learned firsthand during that season: shame only heaps on more weight. And shame is what is really going to keep you stuck because it convinces you that needing help equals failure. But the truth is that asking for help is really the strongest thing that you can do. And that's exactly why the Connection and Breakthrough Virtual Retreat exists. Again, it's not another course that you're going to add to your list of things that you'll never finish. It's a real-time, real support place. It's a container where you can do this deep reset without having to do it alone. And it's happening in mid-January 2026. Because here's what I know: if you're someone who sets resolutions or goals, your new year energy will eventually run out. And if you're someone who's given up, there was also so many women, when I asked them in the survey, do you set New Year's goals or resolution? More than 50% of the women say they don't, they've given up. And so if you're someone who's given up on resolutions and goals, you're going to be feeling completely discouraged by mid-January, once the buzz of the holidays wears off. And maybe like me, you'll be in the thick of winter. The motivation and the excitement, it fades. And when it does, you'll need more than willpower. You'll need structure. You'll need strategy. You'll need support. You'll need community. You'll need someone in your corner who won't let you quit or give up on yourself. And so this retreat is designed to meet you in that moment, to give you the support that you need when the initial excitement wears off and real life kicks back in, when you feel like I just can't keep going. That's what this retreat is for. And that's why it's positioned in mid to late January, because it's not about perfection. It's about sustainability. What we do there and what you're working on and working towards, it needs to be about building something, creating something, trying something new that's actually sustainable and that lasts. Because the first time that you're able to actually diagnose what is going on and why it's happening, you'll know exactly how to move forward in a realistic way that actually is going to work. It's actually going to move the needle forward for you. And sometimes that can be hard to figure out what the way forward is on your own. We are done with the cookie cutter plans that tap into it and make it so that we have to be this ideal version of someone that a course or a book says we need to be. We need to be able to look at our problems and diagnose our problems and our struggles, the how, the why, the what it looks like, and see that clearly. Because when we see that clearly, then we know the way forward. Then we know how the needle is going to finally move. And again, more than 65% of the women that I survey straight across the board any time of the year over the past 10 years, more than 65% of the women that I ask tell me they need help. They need help. Every single time they tell me they need help with the clutter in their homes. It's the stuff. And of course, the mental weight that the stuff brings along with it. And so let's talk about why, if there's more than half of the women who are saying, I struggle with clutter, let's talk about why they've been stuck. Let's talk about, if you are someone who says you have clutter, let's talk about why you have been stuck so far. Because it's not about you and the fact that you're doing it wrong. It's the approach. When I asked about clutter, so many of you said the same thing. I clear it, I make some progress, and it just comes right back. Or you say, I start, but I never finish. And the conversation, there's also this conversation I've discovered in recent months that so many women are having behind closed doors. It's the one that they don't want to say out loud, but they're saying it quietly to maybe one safe friend. They're wondering if they can stay married anymore because life has drastically changed for her. But he's still expecting life to operate and you to operate in the same way that it always has. And then there's all the changing roles that maybe you've been raising kids who are still older. There's the realities about the ways that life hasn't turned out like you thought it would. And maybe you thought it would be easier by now. And then there's all the physical and the mental and the emotional changes that happen with all things perimenopause and menopause. Is it any wonder that your life seems like it's some kind of much of the time? And so for the women who are married, there is this disconnect that is happening. When I asked the women in the survey about their marriages, the language that they used, it was really insightful. They said things like, we're roommates. They said things like, I feel invisible to my husband. They said things like, I've stopped trying. I've given up. And when I asked them, what's really keeping you stuck? The answers really were raw. I just don't know myself anymore. And I'm worried that if I try something, anything, I'll just fail at it. Or they say things like, I don't even know where to start. And so here's what I see, whether we're talking about treating clutter, dealing with marriages, dealing with menopause and all of that stuff. It's that you've been treating symptoms, not solving the root problem. Again, whether we're talking about clutter or whether we're talking about your marriage. You declutter the kitchen, but you don't address why you're hanging on to those things. You can try to reconnect with your husband, but you don't actually rebuild the capacity that will allow you to show up, not just to show up as the old version of you, but to show up as the version of you that you are now. You start with maybe another reset, but you don't address the thought patterns that keep you stuck in the same loop. And that really is what the gap is. It's where the strategies, the practical strategies, and the heart work are not connecting. And this is where I come in. This is really what I help women with. I help them with the problems and the strategies, but also the heart work that has to be done to make those strategies solve those problems. And again, to actually move forward. It starts with thinking different. This is the missing piece. It's the thinking differently piece that you're probably missing. So sustainable change, it doesn't come from doing more. It comes from thinking differently. But it's the doing more that we always do. We think if we just get one more book or one more course or listen to one more podcast, then we'll have the answer. But if you're not actually changing the thoughts that are fueling the things that you're doing, the things that you're trying, you're going to end up in exactly the same place. So let me tell you about a turn that I used to take every winter. This will help this all make sense. So there was this corner that I had to go around. It was literally a block from my house, and it always iced over super thick because it was such a common turn, probably. I live in Michigan, right? And winters can be brutal. We go through this wacky temperature change. We'll have a day in the 50s, and then we'll have a day in the single digits. And so there's just ice and rain and snow, and it's just kind of crazy. So there was this corner that was literally like a block from my house, and thick ice always. And somehow I managed to crash on that exact corner 3 times. Not once, not twice, 3 times. And every time it was for the same reason. I was taking it too fast. And every time it happened, I told myself that I would slow down the next time. And every time I didn't. And every time I would slam into the curb. I would just do a number on the alignment. And then I would have to head straight to my dad's car dealership to sheepishly let them know what I did. Again. So the second time I did the same thing, they started calling me Crash. And the third time, I was essentially a legend around that place. And of course, since it was always my fault, right? I wasn't turning this into insurance. I was just paying for it out of pocket to fix it every single time. Not only was it so embarrassing, but it was so dumb. But looking back now, I can see that it's actually a pretty valid metaphor for how many of us are living life in general, charging ahead, ignoring the signs, pretending that we have it under control until it is glaringly obvious that we don't. The icy turn, it taught me more than just the need to slow down. It taught me about looking for patterns. It taught me to look for the opportunity for humility to enter, and really about finally deciding to learn the lesson after the third time. Because here's the truth. If you keep crashing in the same place, it's not just by chance. It's not just bad luck. It's now a pattern. In reality, we all have our icy corners, those areas of life where we charge ahead, where we ignore the warning signs, and where we promise ourselves we'll handle it better next time. But then next time comes and we crash again. Maybe for you, it's saying yes when you're already overloaded. Maybe it's bottling everything up to keep the peace until you explode. Or maybe it's staying stuck in survival mode and allowing yourself to spiral downhill while there. Maybe you're stuck and you're just telling yourself that you'll fix things, you'll work on things after this week calms down. But this week comes, this week goes, and next week comes, and it doesn't calm down. And so you just keep saying the same conversation. I'll fix this later. I'll work on this later. I'll change this later, but later never comes. You keep metaphorically then hitting the same icy corner and wondering why it's not working this time. But here's the thing. Patterns don't break on their own. They break when you finally slow down long enough to see what's actually happening. Not what you think is happening. Not what you wish was happening. Not the story you tell yourself about what's happening, because the real story is too hard to look at. What's actually happening. And that is essentially what I help women do. That's what I do here. That's what I do everywhere I talk to women. It's why the work that I do, it's why it exists. I'm here to help you see the pattern, to name it, to understand what's driving it, and choose a different path forward. Not with shame, not with pressure, not with another rigid structure or plan that demands perfection. What you need to move forward is clarity and compassion and real strategy that rebuilds things from the root. Because the truth is, you don't need to try harder. Trying harder isn't going to do anything. You need to think differently. You don't need more discipline. You need more awareness. You don't need to white knuckle your way through another failed attempt. You need to understand why you keep crashing on that icy corner in the first place. And once you see it, once you really see it, everything changes. That's what the work we do here does. That's what the work I do does for women. That's in all of these brand new products that I created to help the women of 2026 actually move the needle forward. That's what I do in all of them. That's what these offers were all born out of. They came straight from the Heart of the Matter survey. And I sent the survey to women as 2026 appeared on the horizon. And this is what all of these offers are designed to provide to women just like you. It's not about surface fixes. It's not about a bunch of motivational hype. It's not another planner or another 30-day challenge or 5-day reset. It's about real sustainable change that starts with understanding yourself, and it builds from there. In reality, here's what I heard in the survey. Women can't take another year like 2025. They just can't. Some things got to give. Some things got to change. And so here's where we land in all of this. You don't need a life overhaul. You just need one step. You need one actual step that is aligned with your actual real life capacity, one that respects where you are and meets you there. I'm not going to tell you that you need all of these amazing offers, and they are all amazing. But what you need is permission to choose wisely, to choose what actually fits how you operate, not how you think you should operate. So let me walk you through how to think about this. Maybe connection is what you're craving. Maybe you're tired of being the only one who knows what's really going on inside your head. Maybe what's going on inside your heart. Maybe you need a space where you can be honest without judgment about what's not working, about what's keeping you up at night. You need a place where someone will help you see what you can't see on your own. If that's you, then the connection circle is going to be your next step. It's the answer to this crazy phenomenon that women are experiencing. We're in this world where we've never been more connected, but we've never felt more alone. It's this crazy phenomenon that I see over and over and over again. But maybe you need tools that you can use on your own time. Maybe you don't have the bandwidth to show up anywhere right now. Maybe you need something that you can pick up when you have 20 minutes or 2 minutes and put it down without the guilt when life gets loud. And if that's you, and if you're one of the 65% plus women who say they have clutter and feel totally frustrated by it, then the inside out clutter strategy is going to be your next step. It's self-paced, it's practical, and it's designed to help you understand why the clutter keeps coming back so that you can clear it out for good. Maybe you don't need a whole program. Maybe you just need someone to help you think clearly when your brain is foggy. Someone to help you untangle your thoughts when you're spiraling. Someone to give you a reality check when you can't tell if you're overreacting or if there's actually a problem. And if that's you, then the clarity line is going to be your next step. It's really text-based strategy in real time. It's immediate, and it's designed for women who need support in the moment, not 3 weeks from now, and they don't want to read a book or listen to another class or work through another course. Or maybe you know you need something bigger. Maybe you've tried the self-paced courses and the quick fixes, and they haven't worked. Maybe you know deep down that you need real, immersive support, a container where you can just reset deeply with strategy and structure and community. And if that's you, the Connection and Breakthrough Virtual Retreat, which is happening in mid-January, that's your next step. It's not a quick fix. It's a real investment. It's happening over a weekend, a Friday night, all day Saturday, and a good chunk of the day on Sunday. But it's designed to create lasting change, the kind that sticks because you did the work. You did your work with support. And so I don't know which one of these is your answer, but I do know this, that the version of you who feels clear and grounded and in control, she's not some far off fantasy. She's just one decision away. Not a perfect decision and not a dramatic overhaul, just one next right step that will send you on a completely different trajectory. And here's what I really want you to remember. You're not failing. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're not too far behind. You're just ready for something that actually works. You're ready for support that allows you to acknowledge your real life, not some ideal world fantasy. You're ready to stop treating the symptoms that are just a Band-Aid on whatever it is. And you're ready to start addressing the root so that there's actual fixes that stick. And you're ready to do it without shame, without hype, without another rigid plan or framework that demands perfection. Head to the Heart of the Matter page. It's down in the notes. Look at the different strategies that are there. You'll recognize what we talked about here today. Read through them and ask yourself, not what sounds good, but ask yourself what actually resonates. What fits how you actually operate and speaks to you about what you need right now. And if you're not quite sure, I built something for that too. Right on that same page, you'll find a GPT-based offer finder that's going to help you figure out which type of support is right for you based on how you're wired and where you're at right now. It's based on your headspace and your bandwidth. It's going to ask you questions that's going to help you figure all of that out. And again, there's no pressure, there's no hype there. It's just honest guidance so that you can choose wisely. Because here's the truth. I would rather you choose the right offer and the right path for you than I would buy everything and feel overwhelmed. I would rather see you take one aligned step than 5 steps that actually just drain you. I would rather you move forward with confidence than regret. So take your time, visit that page, listen to your gut, and choose what fits. And remember this, you can start again at any moment. And know that this decision doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. The women who are heading into 2026, they can't take another 2025. But it all starts with being able to think differently and get the support that you need, how you need it for the life that you actually have right now. And that's what I'm here for. Make sure you visit the page down in the show notes, and I would love to see you in whichever support method you need most. Until we talk again, make it a great day.